Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn. I do videos on astrology and Feng Shui, and today we are talking about astrology. If you're new to this channel, welcome. Please hit the subscribe button. Hit that like button if you like videos like this, because it really helps out the channel. And if you don't know me, again, welcome to the channel. I am a professional astrologer. I've been doing astrology for a long, long time. I've written 16 books. I write a weekly sun signs column on sunsigns.com. I also write for horoscope.com and astrology.com. And in the description box below, there is a link to a PDF if you need a copy of your chart, which does include my email, where you can just send me your information and I will send you a copy of your chart. Okay, let's get started. Okay, Libra natives, you are doing the eclipse at the top of your chart in your house of career, which does mean that there are career changes happening for you now and over the next 6 months. And within 6 months, you could be doing something very different. Now, that could mean that it's a gradual change, something you've been preparing. Perhaps you've been planting seeds. I hope that's true. If you have not, if you've been very focused on staying where you are, this could get a little bumpy. But I will tell you that in a few months, you're going to look back and be very happy this happened. So this is very important time for you to look at your job, your chosen career, the company you work for, and the industry you are working in, and see if those have longevity, or with all of the technological changes and the changes with the pandemic and all of that, if they are showing cracks, if they are showing that these industries may not come back. So in other words, if you are a retail employee, this is something where you need to be aware of, because many retail companies may not make it. On the other hand, if you have tech skills, perhaps there's a way you can parlay those tech skills into something bigger that is even more enjoyable for you. So right now, of course, the sun and moon are at 0, and that means that it's very, very difficult to know what direction to go. And that's where the seeds come in. Planting seeds is trying new things, trying different directions, not necessarily committing to one seed. You know, when the farmer plants seeds, he doesn't plant one seed and wait for that to grow. He plants thousands and thousands of seeds, and then he can see what's going to make it and what's not. And that's what you need to do here. And that is to make a list of every single thing that you're interested in, and then go explore that. And rather than using all of this idea of, oh, I don't know, it's, you know, I'd be starting over from scratch, you know, this looks so big and overwhelming, just plant seeds, because seeds are things that grow. The universe does not waste energy. And so what that means is it will take everything, all of your talents, all of who you are, and use those things for your new career. Nothing is ever wasted by the universe. And so you have the skills and the talents that you were born with, the talents you brought in from past lives. You are going to be using those. You just may have a different title. You may work for a different company. You may have a different career entirely. Now, this eclipse is, of course, getting that inconjunct from Saturn down there in your 5th house. 5th house is about risk-taking. It is about where you enjoy your creativity. And so if you've wanted to do a creative career, oh my gosh, this is the direction to go. So, but again, the 0 degree says that you may say, well, I can draw, but that's a range of things. That could be working for Disney all the way to having an Etsy shop, or any of these millions of jobs in between. So the 0 degree says we don't know yet what exactly it's going to look like. That's why we plant the seeds. And then when the seeds start to grow, then you tend the seeds that are the strongest. So that is if you're thinking about perhaps going back to school, which we'll talk about in a second. But if you're thinking about that, some of the difficulty with that, besides the huge expense, is the fact that you have to take a lot of classes that may not be of interest to you, and this can trip you up. So right now, this says go for the thing things that are fun. That's what that Saturn is saying, but do it in a structured way. And that is to actually sit down, maybe carve out 30 minutes a day and just for study. And that is, if you're going to sit there and watch a YouTube video, sit there and take notes and then apply what you've learned right there. Don't just click on the next video. Just don't consume, but instead consume something and then use it, process that information. When we look at the North Node is right at the top of your chart. It is opposing that South Node in the 3rd house. This means it has crossed your midheaven already, which is probable that you, over the last few months, you've already changed jobs or at least had an idea that you're going to. And so you may be already in this process already. Now the North Node is going through your house of teaching and publishing, also spirituality. And so there is a lot of energy for this. Rather than you being the student, which would be the South Node, be the teacher. And so if you're learning something new, learn it to the level that you could teach it. And that is, again, if you're clicking on that video, take the notes and then think, okay, how can I teach my little sister how to do this? And when you know that, now you really know it. Also take the things that you do know and see if there are platforms for you to teach. Can you do tutoring? Can you do an online course where you create the course? Can you write a book? Can you do a podcast? What information can you put out into the world? Now, if it had been on your mind to go back to formal school, yes, you're right. The North Node going through the 9th house for the next 18 months does say that that is a strong possibility. And because of all the craziness that went on, it may be easier for you to get into the college of your choice than ever before. So absolutely go and make that application. But don't do it on a whim. Do it with this idea that this is going to be a structured, very disciplined action on your part. Now, this North Node, South Node is, of course, getting the square from Mars. Mars is in your 6th house of daily routine, except it's in Pisces. And that means that your routines seem to dissolve. Your schedule just seems to melt away and you flow from one thing to another. Now, flowing from one thing to another can be really great as long as you're not on some sort of dopamine binge of, just clicking on thing after thing after thing. If you are really trusting your intuition, you wake up in the morning and you say, oh, you know what, today I should study my statistics book. And then halfway through the day, you say, I need to take a walk in nature. And you flow that way. That is great. And so use that, use your intuition, but recognize that that Mars in Pisces is going to work really hard also, because that Mars in Pisces is so susceptible to all of the distractions in the world. It has to work to focus, and as you work to focus, you get better at it. This also does say that meditation would help a lot. Meditation is a great technique for creating that little space between the impulse of doing something and the actual doing something. So when you're sitting there and meditating and your nose starts to itch and you think, oh, I want to scratch my nose, you're getting the choice of whether you reach up and scratch it or not. You're creating a space between the impulse of scratching and the actual doing of it. Now, after you meditate for the rest of the day, you have that power that to stop yourself from taking action on an impulse, to grab your vape pen or to grab extra chocolate or to just sit around and watch videos all day. Any of these things, with meditation, you would be able to say, wait, I have an impulse to do that, but I'm not necessarily going to do it. That's what that Mars is doing. So consider doing some meditation. That would really help. Now you have Venus retrograde in the 9th house and Mercury retrograde in the 10th house. That Venus retrograde does say that if you started some online course, it's time to finish it. If you had started some classes, it's time to finish those. So consider doing that, or look at it with a very critical eye and say, am I getting enough out of this? Maybe I need to drop it entirely. And that would be you looking at the program again and saying, I'm not getting value out of this. Same with that Mercury in the 10th, though that Mercury in the 10th also is bringing back a job from your past. And this could happen where maybe you were laid off, but maybe this is a job from long ago that you used to do that could be a nice extra side of income for you. And so that is coming back as well. When we look at your relationships, we do have a little bit of a disconnect going on because there's no relationship right now between Venus and Mars. And so this means that you're a little out of sync with your partner. Maybe you've been cooped up together too long. But what's important is that you don't fight, that you just kind of give each other some space. If you're looking for love, Venus is elevated in your chart, which does give you more charisma, but it is still a challenge because there's no connection with that Mars. So that does mean to reach out, start the conversation, but maybe hold off meeting that person until Venus goes direct. There's quite a bit of energy going on in your home life right now because we have the Pluto-Jupiter conjunction right in your fourth house. This is having great ambitions for something. Maybe it is to buy a house, maybe it's to move, maybe it's to redo your current place, maybe it's to completely change your lifestyle and go from a typical house to a tiny house, or maybe you want to live on a boat or something. So you want to look at how you can completely transform your living environment over the course of the next 6 months or so, because this conjunction, which happened in April, will happen again in November, and this will give you opportunities to do something. Whether that happens before November or not is still up for grabs, because this is just energy to have the ambition to do it. So if it is to buy your own apartment building and live in one of the units and rent out the others, this could be a long project. Although I will say there's going to be some serious real estate opportunities over the next few years. So this is a very good goal and a reason to start stashing cash. So that you would have money to do that. But this Jupiter-Pluto does say that you want to transform how you're living at home, and so you need to look into that. Your career house is lit up with the Sun and Moon and Mercury, so you're in very good place to have career opportunities. If you're looking for a new job, that can definitely come. Promotion is possible. If you're looking for a new career, you can do that. But if you're staying put, remember that that may not be so stable, but you are highly visible right now, and that means that even if you are losing your job, you can get a recommendation, maybe help getting another job from your boss. You can get lots of assistance because this house is so powerful right now. It's so good. It also says to remind anybody who is thinking about laying you off, these are my talents, these are my accomplishments, and maybe they can find it in the budget to keep you on. But recognize again, this is a temporary situation that you do need to be looking at making a bigger change. When we look at your money, you are pulling, of course, from both Pluto and Mars. And so the Pluto indicates that money could be made through home, real estate, construction, or from your family. And so money can be flowing in from that. The Mars is in the 6th, so that's directly related to jobs and how much you're working. So we do see money flowing in, which is fantastic, and from multiple sources. How good is that? When we look at your investments, passive income sources, and money done from a business, where we are having is all this volatility with the Uranus up there. So if you're a day trader, you're probably doing pretty good, but otherwise you might be feeling like you're on a bit of a roller coaster. If you're a long-term investor and you're quite diversified, this won't be a problem. This is the same thing for any other resources that you have, is to look for how you can get multiple streams of income coming in, even through other family members, pooling money together to make a stronger position. All of that would be good. You're not showing a lot of accumulation of money because we don't have a relationship right now between the Venus with that Pluto or the Mars, but that's going to change in the next few weeks. And then when it comes to money derived from career, you're in a really good place because the ruler of the 11th is in the 10th. That means that money is going to start flowing in again, possibly from a new source, possibly from multiple sources. So that looks very good. You're even doing an out of sign square with that Mars, which says that you may be busier than ever. They may have extra hours for you. There might be some catch-up work to do. And so if you are interested in the money in your chart and you want to learn more, check out my course, Finding the Hidden Money in Your Chart. There's a link in the description box below. Thank you for staying with me through this video. I really appreciate it. I wish you a very prosperous few weeks until we talk again, and let the stars light your way.